Okay, on my screen I have got a selection of stitches that I've borrowed from the internet, and I believe it's for the 6600. I can't swear to that. And looking at this, quite a few of these stitches already exist inside of MBX. If you go to help, on-screen manual, thank you, appendices and index, open that up, stamps, motifs and border samples, you'll find a whole pile of the stitches where you'll find all the stitches that we've got built in into MBX. You come back up there. And quite a few of these are machine stitches. This one, this one, this one, this one. I'm not too certain about that one. So it pays to check exactly what you've got inside of MBX. For instance, all these, don't know about that one. These, you know, there's a really good selection. And these are all the black works. Right, now I'm going to close this. And I look at all these and I think, well, apart from the utility stitches, which are these, which ones would you really use? You can use this. I actually prefer to use the actual stitch outs and scan them into my printer and then bring those into the MBX to make the motifs out of. Now I'm not going to copy one of these. All I will tell you is all you need is one repeat of a stitch like this one. Let me blow this one up because it's a wee bit small to see. Take it up to 500, which makes it heavily pixelated, but never mind. But we'll take this one. All you would make are these two bottom leaves and this center stitch here. And you'd run your trace point from the bottom to the top. Now you do have to do a teeny bit of work. You've got to make certain that these leaves come an equal distance out from that leg, and that you've got the distance correct from the top there to the bottom. But you do that with your guidelines. So you'd move your guideline down to the bottom. You'd put a guideline across the top of them, just there. You'd put a guideline down the middle, just there. I thought I'd put that guideline along the bottom. Right. Something's moving on me. And then you put a guideline up under the bottom of where the next leaf starts. So that would tell you, you start here, do your shape, bring it back in, shoot up to there and enter. So I'll tell you what, we'll do that one. But I'm going to do it as a plain line stitch. So I start there, up, back to the middle, get in there, up, back down to here, and up to where the next one would begin, and hit enter. And I'm going to change that colour because I can't see it. I'm going to hide the image. I'm going to tell that reshape because that's more like it. Tell that stop. Go to embroidery. Oh, first of all I've got to highlight it. Embroidery. Make motif. And I've already made a folder called Machine Stitch. And I'm just going to call this one Leaves. OK. And I'm going to put my trace point up the middle. Leaves has been created. OK, now I'm going to go to a new screen. Motif. Line stitch. Single run. I want motif. Select. Machine stitch. There it is. OK. And there is motif run line. Tell that OK. And that's the motif stitch. Now I can do it as a straight line. I can make it wobble. And there you are. So it's not difficult to make motifs out of stitches that you have on your machine. I can also use it as a stamp. And the beauty about using a stamp is you can edit it. Machine stitch, there we go. OK. I can have it running straight up. I can lay it down. I can just get in there. Now with the stamp, it's a pure Jan file. With the motif run line, it's automatically branched. Right, so I'm going to drop that off the end of my cursor and go back to the other window, Design 1. And I'm going to delete that. And I'm also going to get rid of the image. There's the image. Let's drop my magnification. 100, until that go away. Right, bring back my hoop. Now I like making hand embroidery stitches, and motifs, line, motif, select, where's embroidery? This one is the German knot stitch. It's an insertion stitch. This one I robbed straight from another program. This is another version of the German knot. And this is the large German knot. This is a lazy daisy chain, and this is the lazy daisy chain small. Right, so if I open up the lazy daisy, tell it OK, there is the stitch. I actually want to close this down a bit and make that 5.2. Tap on that. This is a big stitch, this one. Where's my mouse gone? That's it. Right. Now, that's a hand embroidery stitch. I can use it as a straight line. I can use it as a curve. I can wave it around. The only thing I had to do was decide where it started and where it finished. So I'm going to collect that as a stamp. Embroidery. Thank you. Okay. And I'll that drop off the end of my mouse. Go into reshape. Highlight it first. Yeah, we know you're there. I also had to increase the length of my stitch. Don't want you, I want reshape. There's reshape. Okay. You can see I started here. I went up, across to here, up to here, out to there, back into here, back to there, across to there, down to here, up, across, down to here, up, around, out to there, and back into here, up to there, back to there, in, down, and up the middle to finish there. So the next repeat would start here, as you can see down here. These little things are the little stitch you put in the top of a chain stitch. So let me tell that stop. Down into line stitch. Single run line. And I want to increase that to 5. And so let's make a shape. I start at the bottom where I want to go. and come up to about here. Get in there. Enter that. Okay, I'm going to highlight that green stitch and go to embroidery, make motif, and we'll just call this floppy leaf. Okay, I put my first trace point, I put my second trace point. Just about there. Floppy leaf's been created. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go into a new screen. Line, motif, select, machine. Come on, where are you? Floppy leaf. Okay. Tell that okay. Not quite a circle, but never mind. And there you go. You can make just about any motif. You can make them out of lines. You can make them out of satin stitch. You don't have to be tied by the run line tool. So let's look at making one with a bit of satin stitch. We don't want it to be too big, because satin doesn't like being too big. So we're going to make a leaf. I'm going to start at the base. Enter that. Highlight it. Go into Object Reshape. Rearrange the angle and put the stop point back down at the bottom. And then tell that stop. Then, right where the start point is, ignore where the digitizing maze is. I shouldn't really tell you that, but bring that back down onto there. Highlight it, reshape, put this back in the middle down here, move the angle so as it goes across the leaf, tell that stop, go and pick up, I think we'll go for backstitch line, right on the start point, and take a line up. Okay, I'm going to highlight that, embroidery, make motif, twin leaf. Okay, right on the start point, which is the little round circle there. If I can get my hand to obey me, and up to there. Twin leaf has been created. Okay, click off. Motif, line, twin leaf, there it is. And let's shoot over here. Give ourselves a bit of room. Now, I always make a circle-ish shape. Just to make certain that it's going to work. Bit crowded. And drop that down. Too far, Maggie. Simulated stitch. There you go. Making motifs isn't difficult as long as you get your trace points exactly where you want them. Now, I can't make mine sideways. I can't work sideways. It means I've got to turn my neck. So I make mine all going vertically. But that doesn't make any difference. As long as I get my trace points up the middle and I get my start and my stop in the right positions, my motifs will stitch. That's the important part. So don't be afraid of making motifs, and don't be frightened of making motifs out of your machine stitches. If you just do 2 or 3 of each and then just scan them into your computer, use them as a template, you can replicate all the stitches in your machine. But then ask yourself, do you really need to duplicate all the stitches in your machine? Or have you got ones which are very similar already inside of MBX? Because if you've already got them inside of MBX, it's a bit of a waste of time recreating new ones. If they're not big enough, the ones that are in your machine, the ones that are in here, use them as a stamp. You can edit a stamp. Let's look at this one. Now, I like this as a fill, but of course you can't use it as a fill, or so they would have us believe. Okay, right, I've just changed a row of whatever. What I meant to do was pick it as a stamp. You can teach me. Where's it gone? There's the donut. Okay, so I've got my stamp. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to highlight it because it was the last thing made. And I don't want that stitching that's underneath there interfering if I use it as a motif, but I run it the wrong way, because that stitching will stitch on top. So I'm going to go into non-simulated stitch mode and reshape. There's its start. There's its finish. I don't want its finish there, thank you. I want its finish there. And I don't really know that I want that bit under there. But it's not going to let me do what I want. Because normally I would take the underlay out. Most of them it works. Well, let's just say I want to do a motif fill. Pick my motif, fill stitch motif, select, and I pre-select as well for my motif fills. Okay. Now, can you see what's happening? That underlay stitching is stitching on top. But it won't actually let me remove it because it's done in 2 halves. Layout. Click on that one. Dodge it in between the two. Tell that OK. And go and build my shape. It's a shame it's there. Most of them I can get rid of that just by taking the underlay out. This one I can't. Cancel that. Tell it stop. Highlight that one. Yep, no underlay in there. So I can't remove it. You've got that. You've got the little leaves. We've got design 1. And I made this stitch in exactly the same way. I just found a hand embroidery stitch that I particularly liked and set about copying the stitch into MBX. I made a motif of it. And I made line, motif, select, embroidery. I made a whole pile of them. Far more than are in here, and I don't know what happened to the rest of them. Because I made something like 150. Mostly hand embroidery stitches. Group. These were all for sashing. A single line. And so we want tipsy. Okay. There it is. And they're so easy to do. Now if I come back the other way, and I haven't checked to make certain that it's exactly on top of the one before, they're mirrored. MBX works from right to left. If you go from, works from left to right. If you go from left to right, it gets mirrored. That's why you get underlay showing on some of the motifs if you use them as a fill. I will go into this at greater depth. I will do a series and I will choose half a dozen hand embroidery stitches and go through them one at a time, showing you how you can translate and adapt hand embroidery stitches to use as motifs, to decorate things like purses, etc. Now in the next video I'm going to look at branching, so I'm going to finish this video here.